How's it going, Mr. Mayor?
Quite well. How are you?
Good. Back in 2012, a little strong. Back in 2012, the budget for DHS was $508 million under Mayor Bloomberg, and our homeless population was 43,000 people. Later, 10 years later, the budget is $3.5 billion, and our native homeless population is a little bit over 50,000. Spending on homelessness is a runaway train, and no one seems concerned, especially our comptroller, Brad Lander, whose wife runs New York City's largest lobbying firm for homeless shelters.
I'm sorry, can you say that again?
Okay, all right, let's do it. So, yeah, clearly, Brad Lander does not care about the rising cost of our DHS shelter system, which has ballooned since Bloomberg to $3.5 billion, an estimated $4.1 billion next year, but was once $508 million under Bloomberg. So anyway, the Upper West Side currently ranks 9th in the amount of shelters amongst the 51 districts of New York City. So I feel like there's a really contentious thing that's happening here about the Upper West Side not doing its share, and they're already 9th, and that's before the new shelter that's supposed to go up in this neighborhood, the one on 83rd Street, the Herc Centers, whatever. They really are doing their part. I just want to put that out there. But anyway, going back to my question, which is supposed to relate to quality of life, right? Let's simplify things. I'll give you a clear question and we get a clear answer. It is common practice for homeless shelters to ask their clients to leave in the morning and return back at check-in time. Many suffer from addiction and mental illness. A recent study from UCLA said that 75% of homeless people suffer from addiction and 78% suffer from mental illness. The study is less than 6 months old. There are drug dealers who prey specifically on this population. They wait at the local McDonald's or the local bodegas for their homeless customers to get released or asked to leave the shelter system, keeping them trapped in addiction and stuck in the shelter system. And we would like to see the NYPD address this directly.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, what's your name? Jason. Listen, I agree with you, and I've been spending a lot of time trying to figure out how do we get out of this professional shelter cycle. A lot of time trying to figure it out. And I've been really pushing the envelope. I've been sitting down with focus groups, ex-shelter providers, people who are in this business. I spent a lot of time really focused on it because I'm frustrated and I'm angry about how much money we spend on shelters. It's a losing system. And I don't want people to get comfortable and believe that they permanently are supposed to be in the shelter because it's a downstream mindset. If you are a child and you grow up in a shelter, you're less likely to graduate from high school. And you know what I say? If you don't educate, you're going to incarcerate. We're feeding off ourselves. And we have to break this cycle. Haven't figured it out yet, but I'm 100% with you. We should not be spending this amount of money on a shelter system. Dealing with those drug issues that you're talking about, previous administration stopped doing the street enforcement of drugs. I said, listen, are you out of your mind? You know, this city was an any and everything go city. You guys cannot imagine what I inherited. It was an any and everything go city where people basically, you had good workers, we had terrible policies, and whoever yelled at you, you moved away from them. And what we're doing around mental health, particularly severe mental health, those who can't take care of themselves and endanger to themselves and others on the subway system, on our streets, Dr. Fassan, the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, is really moving around wraparound services, move them into care, being more proactive in what we were doing. We're not walking by this stuff anymore. We're not saying that this is just life in the big city. That is not what we do. I spend hours on the subway system dealing with how are we engaging people who are dealing with severe mental health illnesses. And so I'm with you. I'm also with you by something you said. You are doing your share. That would never come out of my mouth, that this community is not doing this share. This community has some of the most folks who are employed in nonprofits. They do a lot of volunteerism. You are doing your share. So I'm not part of the gang that says, hey, Upper West Side is not doing your share. You're doing your share. You know, it's calling for all of us to do even more than our share right now. That's how these things are. But I'm with you. I would like for you to be part of the roundtables that we're having of how do we fix this sick shelter system that has perpetuated and has grown into a monster. We need to rein it back under control. So my team is going to connect with you. I love you.